In today's video, you'll see an alleged Martian rat, possibly half-eaten pastries, and what many believe to be a Martian bird. But first, let's take a look at this striking photo that might just prove that there actually is life on Mars, except for the rat and the bird, of course. Humanoid. The concept that there may be life on Mars has been around for millennia, and the belief that there actually could really be life on the red planet was just bolstered when this photograph of a humanoid figure was published. Taken by the NASA robot Spirit, the photo shows what seems to be a human-like figure just sitting on the Martian rocks and chilling. This really does give us the impression that we're truly not alone in the universe. If you were to ask astronomers, though, they might have a different opinion. You see, despite the striking appearance of the humanoid Martian on the photo, most experts believe it's just a piece of rock, and it's the human brain that forces it to look like a person in the same way that our brains recognize shapes in clouds and faces in water-stained walls. It's hard enough to discern people and faces across a room. You take into account that Mars is roughly 35 million miles away, it's easy to think that our brains and love for science fiction are playing with us. Even the best of telescopes aren't much assistance when it comes to discerning surface characteristics, which is why NASA dispatched camera-equipped robots to Mars. But whether the figure is a rock or not, it's still pretty cool, albeit a bit creepy to imagine that the red planet is populated by little green men. Next we have the Mars Rat. Previously, we established that some people believe that there is indeed intelligent life on Mars. With that premise, these people possibly also assume that lower forms of life exist on the red planet as well. Case in point is when a photo taken on the surface of Mars allegedly showed a rat-like creature that went viral. UFO buffs spotted the purported Mars rat in a panoramic photo snapped in September 2012 by NASA's Curiosity rover. Zooming in on a portion of the image reveals what appears to be a rodent crouching between two rocks with its nose to the ground. Scientists have been trying to discover life on Mars for the longest time, so it's understandable that a photo like this would make waves both in the scientific and non-scientific communities. But alas, the Mars rat is nothing more than a rock, which is a more likely explanation since the Martian surface has rocks aplenty. But as with the case of the so-called man on Mars, the Martian rat is the result of, again, our brains playing tricks on us. There's even a name for this phenomenon called pareidolia. Pareidolia is a psychological phenomenon in which the human brain recognizes familiar forms in ambiguous or random pictures. NASA believed that this is exactly the case, so it didn't use any more resources to look into the reports of this Martian rodent. Next we have the Martian Elephant. Unlike little green men and rodents, I can actually confirm that an elephant was actually spotted on Mars. Of course, not a real elephant, sadly. That'd be kinda ridiculous. But rather a striking likeness of the giant animal sprawled across the Martian surface. The High-Resolution Imaging Science Experiment, or HiRISE, on NASA's Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter beamed back the photograph of the elephant face, which was formed by a lava flow on the surface of the red planet. HiRISE has captured over 22,000 images and is responsible for giving us a number of other Martian optical illusions, such as the happy face on Mars, the mermaid on Mars, and the face on Mars, some of which you're gonna see later in this video. Next we have the Martian Bird. NASA's Curiosity Mars rover has photographed quite the unusual anomaly on the red planet's rocky surface, a terrestrial bird which seemed to be in full flight. This photo has split the UFO community right down the middle, with some stating that this is undeniable proof that life exists on Mars, while others say it's the Curiosity Mars rover isn't at Mars at all, and it's all one big conspiracy theory. Either way, it's still a tinfoil hat party. U.S. Space Agency NASA has been exploring the Gale crater on Mars since 2012 via its car-sized Curiosity rover. The NASA's rover's comprehensive mission involves examining the apparently arid Martian climate and geology and even assessing whether microbial forms of alien life ever existed on the red planet. The alleged bird photo has indeed sparked a lot of controversy, and many believe it to be a real-life Martian bird. Heck, if you look at the photo, the so-called flying bird is a little more than a black speck. It doesn't exactly resemble a bird, but even that hasn't stopped believers. They actually state that it isn't a bird at all, but rather a UFO. Of course, it could just be a dark speck of dust that temporarily landed on Curiosity's camera lens, but hey, highly plausible, grounded explanations are a bit boring. Next we have the face on Mars. Are you a believer in the ancient alien hypothesis? If you are, then you also believe that space travel isn't a modern thing. Now, according to legend, a race called the Assyrians had the ability to travel across space, thousands of years before Jules Verne even wrote a fictional account of going to the moon. The same legend further states that the ancient Assyrians went to Mars, even leaving a statue of their god Nabu on the Martian surface. That legend might have been confirmed by the Opportunity rover on Mars. The Opportunity was up there taking photographs and sending them back to Earth, and in one of those photos appeared a peculiar-looking rock. The rock appears to be that of a head that was broken off of an old statue, and if you squint, it does have a resemblance to a certain Assyrian god of legend. The blog UFO Sightings Daily immediately hyped up the belief that the ancient Assyrians didn't fly off to Mars, making the legend factual, but of course that head-looking rock could just be that, a rock that looks like a head. It's really not as if rocks like that can't be found on Earth. But at least that's just my take on it. What matters is what you think. Honestly, just look at the head of this Nabu statue, which is displayed at the British Museum, and you tell us in the comments whether the one on the Mars is exactly the same deity, or just an oddly shaped rock.
I didn't know I could feel like that.
The so-called presidential rock was one of the many oddities photographed by the Curiosity rover, and maybe a few heads short of being a true Mount Rushmore. But it sparked a lot of crazy theories, of course. Mind you, these all come from the tinfoil hat community once more. One UFO enthusiast did some photo editing magic on the image and realized Obama's head was clearly visible when he removed some of the rock's rougher features. He then posted his findings on an online forum called UFO Sightings Hotspot, a place which is clearly full of like-minded individuals. This has also led to some people considering the possibility that it was Martians who carved Obama's head from the Martian rock, but that theory holds as much water as a paper cup full of holes. First of all, intelligent life on Mars have never been proven. And secondly, if there were Martians, why would they create a bust of Obama? Are they big fans? Who the heck knows. The Jelly Doughnut from out of nowhere. As you probably concluded by now, Mars is really not home to any little green men. But the Martian surface is full of strangely shaped rocks, and this next one is no exception. It's a rock that looks very similar to a partially squished or partially eaten jelly donut. Now granted, finding a rock that looks like many people's guilty pleasure is strange enough, but there's something even stranger about this thing, and that's the fact that it appeared out of nowhere. Opportunity discovered the unusual rock in a place where there was absolutely nothing the first time it went there. The rock itself had been given this epic name, Pinnacle Island, and its upside-down resting position gives scientists a chance to study a rock's surface that has likely been laying downward on the planet's surface for billions of years. The rover team is busy studying the rock and are trying to figure out how the rock actually got there. There are several possible options, including the rover's own movement somehow sending the rock flying to its current resting place. A meteorite impact could have landed it there, but both theories are pure conjecture at this point, and the mystery may never be actually solved. Facehugger. Everybody knows what a facehugger is. It's that alien creature that lays its eggs inside hosts which develop into the xenomorph, arguably the most popular and most terrifying fictional alien species of all time. Keyword there is fictional, and that's why when a supposed facehugger-like creature was photographed on Mars, it quickly went viral. I know it's pretty hard to see, but look closely at this image snapped by NASA's Mars Curiosity rover. The picture got a big social media boost when Facebook group Journey to the Surface of the Mars posted an enhanced close-up, and discussion took off with commenters saying it looked like a spider, a facehugger from Alien, or a rock lobster. Other descriptions of the rock include a baby Cthulhu, or something that would land on your face and suck out your life force in an original Star Trek episode. At the end of the day, though, the supposed facehugger is just a rock, plain and simple. Odd-looking things pop up in Mars images all the time, but we can excuse them due to shadows, tricks of the light, strange angles, and our very human propensity for assigning familiar names to random shapes, just like when we see dragons in fluffy clouds. Thigh bones on Mars. This photo taken by the Curiosity rover would probably make you think that somebody should really send a CSI team over to Mars. But then again, like most of the odd things on this list, this macabre discovery is again a weirdly shaped rock. This image, caught by the rover's masked Karn on August 14, 2014, shows a collection of rocks half buried in dust, but one rock in particular stands out. It looks quite a bit like a femur bone from a thigh. Quite predictably, this is all it takes to get alien fanatics excited about the possibility of fossilized alien remains on Mars. However, an alien femur on Mars is no more real than everything else that you've seen in this video thus far. NASA said its science team members expect that the rock was shaped through erosion caused by wind or water. And because NASA knows how images of odd objects can stir up the public imagination, the space agency gave a preemptive statement. They said that if life ever did actually exist on Mars, scientists expect that it would be small, simple life forms called microbes. Mars likely never had enough oxygen in its atmosphere and elsewhere to support more complex organisms, and thus large fossils are not likely. The femur-like rock itself actually differs greatly from a human femur. It's crooked rather than straight, which only feeds the imagination when it comes to alien anatomy. This is yet another case of the human tendency to try and make sense out of random shapes. See you all next time!